All right, what's up guys? Welcome back here for another video. Today, we're going to talk about how to create and analyze a watch list. So this is very important, and this video is really for the people who don't tune in to my daily live stream from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, because I'm just going to go over my exact routine that I do every single day. So for the viewers that are on my live stream, you kind of already know my routine. But for those of you who don't tune in, this will be a very valuable video, just so you can get in on a good routine, so you can profit every single day on potential opportunity, and you're not the one being late to the party, trading the backside, losing money while everybody else profited moments before you even knew the stock was in play. So this is very important for those people. So let's just jump right into it. So step one, as I open my platform and I sit down, pre-market, ready to trade, I want to look at the scanner. So scanner is very important. You can use many different scanners. You got Momo Pro, you have Zendu is another popular one. I use Thinkorswim. I use the Thinkorswim scanner. Very simple. It's free. It's not too crazy to understand. I can go through my scanner here real quick. So I do have a pre-market scanner and a market open scanner. I created these myself, and you can create this too. I will go over the how I created them real quickly, not in too much depth because I don't want to make the video too long, but we'll go through them real quick and then we can take a look at the differences. So First off, the pre-market scanner, that's what I'm going to want to use when I sit down today or sit down on my trading day pre-market, so I can get the gappers on the day. So I'm a small cap trader. I'm only trading small caps, so that's all I'm really interested in. So if you're also a small cap trader, you're going to want to mirror pretty much what I have for the pre-market scanner. So this is going to scan for stocks. So I have three different conditions or filters here. The first one, volume. I want to be trading stocks with a volume over 100,000 shares, because I don't want to be trading anything that doesn't have volume, that doesn't have potential, that doesn't have any attention on it. So 100,000 pre-markets kind of weeds out a lot of the stocks that really have no chance at making a big move. The next is going to be my price. So I have ask size. You can use bid size, ask size, last size, whatever. Just don't do market size, because again, we're trading pre-market, so that's not the market open. There is no market price. It's just the limit price, the bid price, and the ask price, and the last price. And I'm scanning for stocks here between 0 and 500. I have been this year dipping into more penny stocks, so maybe my minimum is really like 40 cents, 40 cents stock, so I can kind of edit that. So 30 cents, I don't trade anything else like under 30 cents because of the fees, the regulatory fees. They just add up too much because I have to trade such a big size to make money on it. And then the max, okay, so it looks like you can't even do that. It looks like it rounds down. Yeah, so it looks like it's a rounding, so I just keep it at 0 because I do trade penny stocks. So now I really messed this up here, huh? Okay. All right, keep that 0, and this was 500. I don't trade anything over $100, so I can bring that down to 100. And next is going to be shares. So this is shares outstanding. Shares outstanding. It's pretty much shares on the market. But this isn't float. Float is a little bit different. So shares outstanding doesn't include insider ownership and corporate institutional ownership. Share float, which they don't have on Thinkorswim, that is pretty much the net amount of shares on the market that you can trade today. And that's always changing as different companies do offerings. They do offerings, they do share buybacks programs. So this is going to show our shares outstanding. I don't trade anything that has shares outstanding over 100 million ideally, like, I need a float under 30 million. But if it is a cheaper stock, I will increase that value, that limits to like maybe 50, 60 million shares. Because if it's a cheaper stock, you'll be able to buy more shares. You know, other traders are buying more shares, and it's just a lot faster. That can eat up that supply. So that is the shares outstanding from 0 to 100 million. Anything over 100 million just trades. It doesn't trade like a small cap. It doesn't trade like a low float stock. It's a different type of price action I don't do too well on. Next one here is going to be after hours percent change, and this is the most important one because this is what makes a scan for the pre-market gappers. I know it does say after hours, but it does also mean after market hours, and also pre-market hours as well. And so I have that set as after the close of the previous day. If the stock has gapped up more than 10%, then it will show up on my watch list. And that's going to be extended hours. And that I have it for the 1 minute chart as well. So that's what I have. This is what I have here. You guys can mirror this, and this is gonna trade for those pre-market gappers. And I have it set to 10% because anything less than 10%, there's just too much noise. There's too many stocks that have that potential. Like maybe it's only gonna just gap up 5%, and I'm buying a 5% gapper, and then it just kind of just peters out and has no volume. So I like to have something that has, you know, breaking news, has volume, has momentum, has attention on it, and usually that doesn't start to happen until after 10% of a gap. So that's my pre-market scanner. Next at 9:30, I switch over to my market open scanner, which the only difference is I delete the pre-market or the after hours percent change study, and instead I only have volume, shares outstanding, and I set it to market price, 50 cents to 500. And I increased my volume because since now it's 9:30, stocks on the pre-market watch list got a little bit more time to trade, so they should have more volume. So I'm going to increase that limit a little bit. I don't want to trade anything under 1 million shares traded coming into the open. If a stock has not been able to trade, not 100 million, 1 million. If a stock hasn't been able to trade 1 million shares by 9:30 from the pre-market gapper, from the pre-market gap scan, it's definitely not going to be worthy for me to trade. I like trading the highest volume stocks of the day. And the stock should easily be able to trade 1 million shares by the open. If not, it's just not worth looking at. There's not going to be enough volume. There's not going to be enough liquidity. The spreads are going to be really wonky and very unreliable. Feels are going to be weird. So that's why I have this set to 1 million. So that's my market open scanner. And yes, the scanner is probably the most important part of this because that's how you're going to find your potential opportunity. So that's step one. All right, so now for step two. Step two is going to be analyzing the data. So analyzing the data. This is also very important. I do like to rank my gappers here by market percent change from the best leading gapper, the highest leading gapper, to the leading dumper on the day. So the leading gapper here on Friday, yesterday, was BLMZ. So that's going to give us some data here. It's up 119%, which is great. Volume 145 million by market close. I don't know what it was pre-market. I don't remember, but I'm sure it was had to have been at least 5-10 million, something like that. And then here it gives us our shares. So our shares outstanding is 13.4 million. So that's shares outstanding, and that doesn't exclude the insider ownership and institutional ownership. So that's very important because this is not float. Float is different. Float is the amount of shares being able to be traded on the market today, and that's always changing based upon difference in if some institution starts to sell shares or buy shares, or an insider starts to buy or sell shares. That will change. Also, offerings will change the float, and as well as share buybacks. So this isn't the float, and unfortunately, Thinkorswim doesn't have a data point here for float, which I wish they did. But we can solve that easily by checking out a couple websites. There's a few you can use. Is Dilution Tracker, which is what I use. FinViz, I've used that before. It's pretty accurate for the most part. Guru Focus is also good as well. So you can check those websites, and that will give you a decently, fairly accurate estimation on the float. You may have to check or cross-check different websites just to make sure that you're getting the right value. But for me, I use Dilution Tracker. So if you pull up BLMZ, it looks like we have a float here of 8.1 million and shares outstanding of 13.43. So this definitely seems pretty accurate because it does show the accurate shares outstanding. So I'm assuming this is the accurate float as well. 8.1 million. So that's another data point that you need to just check for this next step. All right, so the next thing you want to do is check the news. So it's definitely a good sign that a stock does have news. However, it's not a requirement. A lot of the times you'll see opportunity on stocks that don't have any news, and I'll still be trading it, and it'll still be a decent stock that can give good opportunity. But it's definitely a good idea to take a look at the news, and that can kind of give you a barometer on whether or not the stock could be a good mover, because you're going to be able to recognize different keywords. Over time, with more experience, you'll be able to recognize that some catalysts do better than others. For example, like I find that cancer catalysts, phase 3 results, positive phase 3 results, and patent news do very, very well. And on the flip side, acquisition news with a random company that I have no idea who they are, that catalyst tends to not do very well. So over time you'll get to notice which catalysts do well and which don't, and also you'll notice different keywords. You'll look at for different keywords in the catalyst. Is there a dollar amount that is just very, very significant, very huge, or does it not show any dollar amount, or is it very vague? Is the catalyst very vague? Or does it say something about AI? Does it say something about renewable energy? How about EVs, electronic vehicles? All those things that are very kind of hitting the mainstream, these mainstream keywords that are popular. These are potential kind of, I'd say potential hints at maybe this stock could be the one of the day. Because a lot of trading now is based on algorithms, and algorithms are reading these catalysts and kind of trading. They're trading off of these keywords that sometimes these companies can put out, and if they're hitting that right algorithm on some of these trading algorithms, this can really make the stock rip. And a lot of the times, right when the news comes out, it's almost impossible to catch that first green candle, because as soon as the news comes out, it's already the algorithms that are hitting it. So if the catalyst is coming out here at 4 p.m. Eastern time, it's like this thing just pops up immediately before I can even read the catalyst, but it's already up 40%. And this will happen, and this is definitely those algorithms picking up on those keywords. But it still gives opportunity, of course, after the algorithms start hitting it, and then maybe the discretionary traders start to get more involved. But it's definitely a good idea to be able to read those keywords that can drive the stock. Then next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to check, if you're on Charles Schwab, you're going to want to check for the margin requirements. So margin requirements is important. Unfortunately for Charles Schwab, not every stock you're going to be able to trade with margin with the instant settlement. It will be treated. Sometimes in these stocks you'll be treated as a cash account, even though you're over 25K. And to verify that for every single stock in your gap scan, if you're under Charles Schwab, you're going to want to take a look here at the margin maintenance requirement lookup. So let's take a look here. BLMZ special maintenance 100%. If it does say non-marginal, so this means I can trade freely without any restrictions if I'm over 25K. But if it does say non-marginable, then you will not have that instant settlement, because instant settlement is margin because it takes T+1 to settle your trade. So instead of settling your trade the next day, they just lend you the money to kind of settle it today on margin. So if it does say non-marginable, then unfortunately you'll be treated as a cash count. You can still trade it, but you can only trade up to your cash balance. And unfortunately, Charles Schwab will not decline your order if you go over your cash balance. So you got to be very, very careful you don't go over that cash balance, because you will get a warning. And it looks like after 3 strikes, you will be restricted for 90 days. So be careful with that. Make sure you're checking all of the stocks before you trade it, so you don't run into that issue. And again, that's for Charles Schwab traders only. And finally, for step 3. Now for step 3, you want to analyze your daily chart. So for BLMZ, let's analyze the daily chart. And when I first started out, I was like very confused. I'm like, how do you analyze a daily chart? What does that even mean? What am I looking for? And pretty much what you're looking for is areas of support and areas of resistance. Either has stock rejected a level or a stock broke down a level. These are just, it's definitely very simple once you get the hang of it. All right, so let's take a look here at BLMZ. Let's act as if we're trading this today. So BLMZ, let's say that this is pre-market. And so essentially we want to look left and up for our levels, for our resistance levels. So looking left and up, looks like there's going to be a level here at around 226. And then again, here another level at 280. And we can verify this within the intraday chart. Looks like this coincides here with the perfect inflection point. Some resistance here, resistance, resistance, resistance. And then if we look farther out, all the way back here near the IPO, I think it was an IPO, I'm not quite sure actually, I'd have to take a look at the news. But looks like we came up and rejected this topping tail here again and broke down previous support. So it looks like our previous support, we had some recent support here, maybe some minor support. The next candle did come up to retest this area and rejected, but I would say our real support is going to be down here at this low here at 23, right? 20, yeah, around 23. We did start to bottom out here. Potential support, it looked like it was looking like it was going to base out, but we did break down. So now our rule is previous support now becoming resistance, or previous resistance now becoming support. So it looks like it was previous support. After we're breaking down, now it's going to act as resistance. We did curl up here for a retest of that level, verifying the resistance there. So it looks like we still have resistance. And as we can see, it kind of perfectly coincides here with that 223 level. So we can actually delete this smaller line here. So yeah, so that looks like that's pretty correct, because you can take a look here at the intraday level that it did coincide here with a little bit of resistance here. It's not perfect, but it is close enough. And that's how you can kind of get a good idea that you're doing it right. And then again here, it looks like we'll have some resistance at 354. We'll have some resistance here at this topping tail. We'll have some resistance here, potential resistance here at 23, and then 52. So you can take a look at the daily chart, and really the rules are left and up, and previous support becoming resistance, or previous resistance now becoming support when we do break through that level. So here's the levels here on BLMZ. You can take a look at the daily chart, and it's very similar as far as the levels, but I find it a little bit easier if you take a look at the 180-day chart, because it does show those pre-market levels. So all these gray zones here are pre-market and after hours, and it does show where price went in those areas. And if you do check out the daily chart, it doesn't show those pre-market and after hours prices. So if we take a quick look and analyze BLMZ, let's say that we didn't trade. So let's say that yesterday was non-existent. We didn't trade that day yet. So we're opening up here around 135. So our first really level of resistance is going to be this rejection candle. So it looks like we have a topping tail here, a topping tail here. We rejected there, and we have a topping tail there, which is the pre-market high. Kind of coincides perfectly with these previous topping tails. We find some resistance, we pull back, form a higher low, and then once we break through that level, we're going to be looking for the next level. Next level could potentially be around 182, but really we found resistance at this major support area, which is now acting as resistance, as we say. And so that's where it could be one of our targets, especially if you're a longer hold time trader. That could be one of your targets for the longer hold time trade. But then again, after this day, I'm actually curious to see if there was a resistance level here. So let's put a level here and see how that shows up on our intraday. Okay, yeah, so it does look like, yeah, that level there, 183, was resistance. We came up to that 183 level that I just drew out, found some resistance, pulled back before breaking through, and then finding support again on that level. So that's why it's so important to be able to analyze these daily charts, because they're going to coincide perfectly with the intraday chart. And if you can draw out those levels before price gets there, that could give you a good idea where price may find some resistance, and then maybe giving it some more time to consolidate before making the next move. But then also on the backside as well, like on the backside, we drew out that level here. We actually identified this level here around 150, 160, which coincided with these previous topping tails back here. Yeah, this one here. And then kind of this area, but it didn't come up kind of high enough. It was a little bit too low. But we did reject this high here pre-market. So that's going to kind of act as, previous resistance now going to be support because we broke through that level. Now we come back down, we're testing that level, and we're already bouncing. We're already bouncing here in the after hours. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more of a bounce on Monday for pre-market. So that's kind of how you analyze that daily chart. And yeah, you're going to want to do that every single day for every single stock. Make sure you're drawing out your levels. And you'll know if you're doing it right if you're correct about where that price ends up going. If we come up all the way on BLMZ, we come up all the way to 223 or 227, and you already had that red line there from analyzing that daily chart all the way back here before price even got there from this previous support level. You're going to be right here. Looks like we came up to that level, found some resistance, and started to consolidate under that level before breaking above it. Now having support. Now retesting that level, now finding support on that level. And then continuing higher, again finding support on that level. Now breaking below that level. So I can actually delete this one. This one's now breaking below that level, now coming back up and testing that level. Couldn't break back above it. We're having struggle to hold above it. Coming back down, trying again, rejecting again, and then starting to fade. And that's how you'll know if you're starting to get the hang of reading the daily chart. And that's very important. You're going to want to do that with every single stock that you have in a pre-market gap scan. And that will kind of set you up with an idea of where a stock potentially bounce and where a stock potentially top out, at least temporarily, or even for more than that. All right, so that's how I create and analyze my watch list every single day. It's very, very important. You can definitely, it'll give you that opportunity to get in before the move is over and give you a good shot at capitalizing on these opportunities. So I do this every single day from 9 a.m. to 9:30. So hope to see you guys in the future live stream starting on a Monday again for next week. I do it from 9 a.m. to 9:30 Eastern time every single day. So tune in for that. Hope to see you there. Make sure you drop that like on the way out and subscribe if you're new. And I'll catch you guys later. All right. Peace.